Deshaun Watson is back on the practice field, or at least he's back under the microscope, and the Browns are quietly making a roster decision that will echo through Cleveland's cap sheets for years. After months of rehab, setbacks, and headlines, the short version is this. The team expects Watson to still be on the Browns roster for 2026, and that comes with a staggering cap charge that shapes everything the franchise can do next offseason. ESPN.com. Let's start with the immediate. Cleveland opened Watson's 21-day practice window, which means he's out of PUP for now, and the team has 3 weeks to either activate him to the 53-man roster or put him on season-ending injured reserve. Practically, that designation is as a step in getting him back into football shape more than a firm bid to return to game action this year. The Browns' official communications and multiple outlets confirm the move and emphasize it's a measured, medical-first approach. Reuters behind that move is the much bigger financial reality. Watson's contract situation is brutal math. His 2026 cap charge is being reported around the $80 to $81 million mark, making it one of the largest single-year numbers in NFL history. That figure, whether you see it as $80.7 million or $81.7 million in different reports, isn't a rounding error. It's the size of a roster problem. Teams don't carry numbers like that unless they're prepared to accept the consequences. So Cleveland's decision to plan on keeping him isn't purely about belief in a comeback. It's also about cap calculus and the cost of walking away. ESPN.com, here's why the Browns seem to be choosing the path of least financial pain. Releasing Watson before June 1st would create an astronomical dead money charge, far higher than the 2026 cap hit alone. And even if they cut him after June 1st, they don't actually save money against the cap this coming year in many scenarios. In short, the available accounting levers to escape the contract without severe fallout are limited, and that's a big reason the team appears to be planning to keep him on the roster in 2026, regardless of whether he plays this season. TheScore.com. The code. That's your whole name, okay. All of this complicates the Browns' on-field posture. Right now, Cleveland has been cycling quarterbacks, Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders, and the veterans who were once in the mix. The club's record and offensive inconsistency have only amplified the stakes. If Watson fully recovers and looks like his previous self, the Browns suddenly have a veteran starter under contract. Expensive, yes, but potentially elite. If he's not effective, the team still faces that gargantuan cap figure next year while trying to build around younger options or pursue a QB in free agency or the draft. Either way, Watson's presence on the ledger forces the front office into choices that wouldn't exist otherwise. ESPN.com. There's also the human element. Watson's time in Cleveland has been messy. Injuries, an 11-game suspension earlier in his tenure, and a string of off-field controversies that have complicated his legacy. Fans, ownership, and teammates have all reacted differently at various moments. But in the NFL, money and roster control often trump narrative. The Browns' leadership appears relieved to avoid a catastrophic dead cap hit and, for now, prefers to keep options open, to let Watson rehab, to evaluate him in controlled settings, and to decide on his role with the benefit of on-field evidence and off-season freedom. Over the cap, what should Browns fans expect in the weeks ahead? Realistically, 3 things. A deliberate medical progression for Watson, continued auditions for the young quarterbacks already playing meaningful snaps, and front office planning that treats Watson primarily as a cap reality to be managed rather than an immediate solution. If Watson proves healthy and effective in practice, suddenly Cleveland's offseason decisions change. Drafting a QB becomes optional instead of mandatory, and free agency budgeting will shift. If he doesn't, the Browns will still carry the financial pain into 2026 and potentially beyond, unless they can find a clever post-June accounting move, which is easier said than done. NFL.com, at the end of the day, this is a story about leverage. Watson's contract gave him protections the Browns seemingly now have no appetite to break, and the team's current competitive posture, 3 rookies, an inconsistent offense, and a sub-500 record, means Cleveland can't afford to turn the contract into a financial time bomb. For fans hoping for drama or a symbolic cut, the unpleasant truth is that NFL accounting and roster rules often make tough decisions prohibitively expensive. For the Browns, keeping Watson on the roster in 2026 looks less like a vote of confidence and more like a painful but pragmatic choice. Yahoo Tetao. So watch the practice window and watch the evaluation process. If Watson gets through these next weeks and shows legitimate football movement, the Browns will have a big problem in the best possible way: how to balance an elite but expensive starter against the salary cap realities of constructing a complete roster. If he doesn't, Cleveland still carries that cost, and the front office will have to make roster decisions for 2026 under a very heavy financial shadow. Either outcome changes everything for the Browns, on the field and in the books, and that's the simple, messy reality of what they quietly just confirmed. ESPN.com.